I use a lot of ASO, so that's like Google. So like search optimization for Google, there is actually for apps. So it's called ASO, so App Store Optimization. So I use a lot of App Store optimization. So for example, if you were to type in Entrepreneur Magazine, you know founder would come up right next to Entrepreneur Magazine. I so there's a lot of strength in using keywords in your name. I don't keyword stuff it, but it makes sense. Our full name of the app, and from there I've been able to generate a lot of traffic. So we have very beautiful screenshots. It's all about, I think, really looking from a potential customer's standpoint, looking at what their problems are and thinking about how you can, talk to them in their language. So I realized very quickly that right now with the App Store, when you're searching for something, the first thing people look at are the screenshots. So I have really, really beautiful custom made tailored screenshots. I've tested things like you wouldn't imagine. It's all about testing things. So, I've realized and worked out if you constantly have the Branson cover as the front cover that's showing in the App Store as the icon, because with apps in the newsstand, they're a little bit different. The icon is always what your latest magazine issue is. But for me, I've made it so you can just always have the Branson issue. So I've noticed that we have at least 50% more downloads if you have the Branson issue as the icon. So a lot of people, a lot of our traffic is organic, then the next piece of our traffic is from external sources like leveraging partnerships like we did with you guys, and also interviewing influencers, getting them to promote to their list and share on their social channels and leveraging their level of influence. But yeah, most of our traffic is organic, and that is from testing things and really trying to work out how you can get the most possible organic downloads from the store. That goes with keywords, screenshots, and copy. And that's how we're generating a lot of our traffic, and
So,
that's how we've been able to build it up to where it is today. Like I started small. Like I didn't straight off the bat, I didn't pitch Richard Branson to interview him for the magazine. That was issue 8. So I kind of worked my way up. When I first started, no one even wrote back to my emails. They're like, "Who is this joker?" Like, who? I never heard of this magazine. I don't know who he is. So I just kind of kept working myself up the ladder, and now I can get pretty much any influencer I want, or at least be able to pitch them and say, we've had Richard Branson, Ariana Huffington, all these people, and they're like, oh, okay, well, this is an up and coming serious magazine, but it's kind of been a slow building point, stepping stone.
so how did you get into the realm of having the larger Richard Bransons on, etc.? Was there, because I mean that's a really high tall order, right? It's not even like you went from bottom to middle to the top. You went like bottom to the top. So how did you get on someone's radar like that? What did your pitch look like? Tell us a little bit about what that email looked like and how you got that
Yeah,
agreement.
yeah. I can send that to you if you like.
Yeah,
I
we'd
could
love to
send that.
post it if you
Yeah,
have it. Yeah,
yeah,
send it
yeah.
over so we
Sure,
can see it.
sure. Yeah. So pretty much, I find that a good way to get influencers is if they're launching one way is if they're launching a book. That's a really, really good way because they're looking for press. So I like to go backwards. So my process of getting interviews with influencers is working backwards. One, do they have a book? If they that already increases your chances tenfold, because when people are writing books, they want to get a whole ton of press. So if they're writing a book, yep, boom, you work backwards. So you go to their publishing house. So, like, for example, at the moment, Ariana Huffington, she's writing a book. She wrote a book called Thrive. Absolutely brilliant book, and she's doing all sorts of crazy things around press for her book. So, when I pitch her, she's more likely to say yes if she's trying to promote her latest book. With Richard Branson, he has many books, and we just worked backwards and spoke to his publishing house because they always want to get press for their books because it's more money for them. So we pitched their PR people, and then they put us in touch with the Virgin PR people. I'll never forget, this was probably at least about 8 months ago now, when I pitched all the way back. So I found the head of PR at Virgin, and I had her phone number, and I wrote her a few emails, and she wasn't getting back to me like most PR people do. This is the thing you need to learn, that it's like six or seven or five, 5, 6, 7 forms of communication for someone to get in touch with them. So you can't be put off if you write an email and nobody gets back to you. I think there's a lot to be said with making phone calls, because it's just like a more of a human element. So many people get emails. You get more excited when you get a phone call, you know what I mean, as opposed to an email. So I think there's a lot to be said in making phone calls. And then the second part is looking at publishers and going backwards and finding their PR people to get you in touch with the gatekeeper, which in this sense was Richard Branson's head of PR. And I'll never forget calling her. It was like nighttime here in Melbourne, and it was late afternoon in the UK. And I called her and I said, "Oh, hey, my name's Nathan Chan from Founder Magazine. Do you have a second?" I was just stumbly as all hell. I was so nervous. Like, this was a really big deal for me, because if I got this Branson feature, it would be our biggest yet. And I said, I really want to feature Richard. I've sent you a few emails. And she's like, "How long have you guys been around for?" And I said, "Oh, about 6 months." And she's just like, "Oh, wow, you're really new." She's like, "I understand we get these kind of requests all the time. Just shoot me through another email. I don't know when I'll get back to you, but I promise I will." And then I left it from there, and I just shot off a really good email which was coming from the heart. And I played on the fact that Branson's first business venture was actually a magazine. And yeah, she put it forward to him and he said yes, and then we worked it from there. So that's how I get a lot of my interviews. I just work backwards through the publishing houses, and then eventually get to the gatekeeper, the PR person that either says yes or no.